Folks, it's Saturday morning as I'm filming this, and I'm already too late to the party. But I felt like this was definitely a story we needed to address here on After Prison Show, involving 10 prisoners down in the state of Louisiana, New Orleans, to be more specific, who just pulled off an absolute prison break TV show like escape, IRL. I know that you've seen this story. It's been all over the place. It's been national news. 10 prisoners, all locked up for serious shit, I believe. I know I had seen something that said, some of these guys had murder charges and things like that. So not sure if all 10 of them were in that same boat or not, but there's plenty of video circulating of this actual escape, surveillance footage capturing these guys running, getting away from this place. Funny that the cameras could catch them doing this, but there wasn't a guard on site manning that control booth where that surveillance footage could be seen at. To make matters even worse, these guys even mocked the facility, it seems, leaving behind a note. Some words scribbled on the wall right above that stainless steel commode and sink combination unit. Scribbled on the wall right there, they had written "too easy, LOL. I had read a comment that said it should be TOO and not TO. But I don't necessarily think that this is the time to become the grammar police here. Folks, there is literally a fugitive manhunt underway right now. And again, this, I believe, took place yesterday. I could be wrong about that. We're getting ready to look at a couple of stories about this. But I know as of right now, I believe that at least 2 of the 10 have already been apprehended, and one of them, maybe both of them, were caught the same damn day that they escaped. Video shows 10 inmates escaped from New Orleans jail, and then an editor's note. The Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office updated the total number of initial escapees to 10 after an inmate believed to be missing was found still inside the facility. I'm wondering if that guy was a part of this and maybe he got left behind, or maybe he got cold feet and got left in a wall somewhere, and that's where they ended up finding him at. New Orleans. Authorities are urging local residents to remain alert after 10 inmates escaped from a New Orleans jail facility, 9 of whom remained at large as of 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Surveillance footage shared with media during a press conference showed the escapees sprinting out of the facility, some wearing orange clothing and others wearing white. I wear orange clothing all the time, but if you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, that could be bad business for you. They proceeded to scale a fence using blankets to avoid being cut by barbed wire. Some could be seen sprinting across the nearby interstate. That's crazy. If you're a car on the interstate and you see some guys running across the street, especially if you're from that area, you probably know that there's a jail right there. And you see some dudes running across 4 lanes of traffic in either direction, 8 lanes in total. And some of those guys are wearing orange jumpers. I wonder if anybody called the police and said, hey, you're not missing anybody, are you? Officials from the sheriff's office say there was no deputy physically in the pod where the fugitives had been held. They said there was a technician, a civilian, who was there to observe the pod, but she had stepped away to grab food. What the world? They are so short-staffed there that they don't even have a deputy or anybody. A real jail guard? What the hell is a technician? AKA a civilian. Are people doing community service at this jail? I don't want to crack any jokes because my jokes aren't funny. But what is this? I did a video a while back talking about it. Some jails, they're so short-staffed, they're bringing in temps. Could you imagine going to a temp service because you're trying to find some work? And they're like, hey, we got this one gig. It's 12 hours a day. You need to go play the role of a jail guard. Shit, put me up in there with them Ray-Ban camera glasses on. I'll do that shit. That's wild. The technician, a civilian who observed the pod, stepped away to grab food. Was she in on it? Who the hell knows? So these guys were able to wiggle loose the steel sink/toilet combination unit and were able to get into the walls and do an absolutely by the book exact Prison Break TV show like Prison Escape in real life. With the fact that they were able to get into the wall from behind this commode. You know, obviously this was something they had been working on for quite some time. Who the hell's going to know the layout of a jail? I mean, even somebody who's been there countless times, they're not going to know the innards, workings of a facility like this unless you get to exploring. This could have been months in the making right here. According to the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, the inmates were discovered missing around 8:30 a.m. during a routine head count at the Orleans Justice Center. So these guys had all night to get away. And get away they most certainly did, except for one guy, maybe two, because I believe that's how many have been apprehended at this point. So of these 10, first guy, Antonio, 33 years old, his charges are domestic abuse, battery, strangulation, theft of a motor vehicle, parole violation. Second guy, 27, illegal carrying weapon, illegal possession of a firearm by a felon, obstruction of justice, introducing contraband into a prison. Damn, buddy was getting the pack sent in and they caught him. Next dude was 31 years old, simple burglary of an inhabited dwelling, possession of a firearm, illegally carrying a weapon with a controlled substance. Next guy, 27 years old, second-degree murder, attempted second-degree murder. Next guy, 42, second-degree murder, aggravated battery, possession of a firearm. The youngest, it seems, 20 years old, second-degree murder, aggravated battery, and then a 24-year-old and then two 21-year-olds, which they don't mention their charges. As of Friday afternoon, authorities had recaptured one inmate, 20-year-old. They got the young guy, the youngest guy, actually. 20-year-old Kendall Miles, who New Orleans Police Department Superintendent said was located in the touristy French Quarter District. Thanks to facial recognition technology. Boy, you ain't gonna beat that radio, and you damn sure ain't gonna beat that software. Police don't even really got to do a job no more. Escape if you want to. They got the facial recognition software. They're going to find your ass. And it doesn't really seem like Buddy was all too far away from the jail anyways. Is it stereotypical, judgmental, or maybe should be expected that the youngest of the bunch seems to be the first to be reapprehended? Will any of these 10 actually make it for the long haul? Really get away? Of the charges that we read about, it certainly sounds like every one of them is facing prison time, probably at least 5 to 10 years. Given the fact that if you escape from a jail or a prison, you're looking at about an additional 5 years. If you have to serve at least that amount of time or more, is it worth it to risk an additional pound puppy, aka another 5 years added onto your sentence? And you know what's interesting about this? I actually just recently got the opportunity to be a prison consultant on a big upcoming prison movie. I can't talk anything else about it because there's an NDA. I've probably already said too much, but one of the questions that I was asked was in relation to if I had ever thought about escaping. And I was reminded of this time when I had first gotten to prison. I had 5 years left to serve. I was at a level 1 called Halifax. And this place was out in Podunk, Western Virginia. Not West Virginia, the western part of the state. And this shit was, just nothing but hollers. Valleys and ravines and mountains and hollers. Hollers or hollas. But while I was there, 5 years left to serve, I had just gotten there. There were barely any guards who ever really patrolled the place. And in fact, no guards in the guard towers, which they barely even had those. But they had this van that used to do a perimeter check or a truck. And, they went around like maybe once an hour or something like that. But there was just one fence that separated me from freedom. And then past that fence was about a mile, maybe two, probably just a mile of this holla that was just this long stretch of valley that went all the way down, and way off in the distance you could see this train track. And every day there would be a train right there. And I kept thinking to myself, man, if I ever jumped this fence and ran down this valley, I could get on that train, and wherever that train's going, I could be going there too. But you got to imagine if you did that, the first thing that they would do is stop that train and search it. So it's probably a good idea that I didn't risk that. They say after a brief foot pursuit, the little 20-year-old kid was apprehended on Royal Street. Troopers are continuing to work with partners to locate the remaining escapees and ensure public safety. The public is being advised to stay alert and aware and not to approach the individuals. How would you know the individuals not to approach? I mean, sure, we've seen their pictures, but nobody's running around with those. We don't have facial recognition software on our cell phones just yet. Oh my God, did I just think of a bazillion-dollar app? Hold on, you look super sus. Let me... All these alerts start going off. Oh, you super ditty. Yeah, I ain't gonna talk to you. They say the men were able to get out of the New Orleans Justice Center because of defective locks. It sounds like they've got quite a bit of defectiveness there. They don't even have staff, it seems like. They said they've continuously raised concerns about the locks to officials as recently as this week, advocating for money to fix the ailing infrastructure. Hey, if the infrastructure is ailing and you don't have the money to fix it, well, you're probably going to need to shut that down and move people elsewhere because I got to imagine this is probably not a very safe place to be serving time. There's no staff there to protect you. The prisoners know that. They seem to be able to come and go quite often and do whatever they want to do, especially with the fact that the locks don't even work in this place. We do acknowledge that there's no way people can get out of this facility without there being some type of lapse in security. They say there's 1,400 people being held there. It's almost impossible, not completely, but almost impossible for anybody to get out of this facility without help. I didn't necessarily see a whole lot of help in the surveillance footage that I've seen. The toilet was removed. The note was left on the wall that said, "Too easy, LOL." And the surveillance footage shows these guys running free like gazelles out in the wilderness, scaling fences. I'm sure you would say that they had help from the outside, but they ran across 8 lanes of traffic. There weren't no getaway car waiting for them. They caught Buddy a couple of miles down the road in the French Quarter. You're going to say anything to try to deflect the blame. Definitely a major bad look for this area, but, you know, who can you blame? You can't really blame anybody here because if they don't have the money, what can they do? You know, and if you don't have money allotted, shit like this is going to happen. I'm not mad at anybody in this particular situation. I don't blame anybody in this situation. I don't blame the staff. I don't blame the state. I don't blame the prisoners. Everybody in this situation just did the absolute best that they could do. And listen, sometimes if you give a guy an opportunity, or if somebody senses an opportunity, they're going to take it. So, just a really unfortunate situation for, the sheriff's department because they're looking like the fools in this situation. But again, if they don't have the funding, what can they honestly do? And for the prisoners, how can you blame them? Half of them were probably facing at least 10 or better, if not all of them. So, the risk was certainly worth the reward in this particular case. Folks, I just wanted to offer up my 2 cents on this. I don't know how this plays out. I'm quite certain that all of these guys will end up getting apprehended because there's a nationwide, probably not even a nationwide. You know, they probably already ran the analytics on this. They've ran the numbers. They've crunched them. They're like, yo, these dudes don't got a freaking means to an end. And that starts by looking at their commissary account. Money on your books or no money on your books? No money on your books indicates no freaking support whatsoever. We don't even got to go nationwide on this. Let's just look through the parishes. I imagine 1 or 2 of these guys makes it out of the state, but most of them probably just get caught ripping and running right around the only thing that they've ever known. We're not making it out the hood with this one, unfortunately. Folks, again, just my 2 cents. Folks, you let me know your stance here and your opinion. I'll look forward to hearing that. Hey, look, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about this. And as always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace!